Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher with a worthless film and media studies degree. And now I'm a single dad who loves to talk New York Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV, and comedy. On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down Big Blue's big-ass loss to the Washington Commanders. Swept for the first time by the Commanders since 2021, which was Joe Judge's last season. Ominous? Could be. We'll take a look at the case for quarterback patience, an article from The Athletic. So for all of you who want to draft a quarterback, a younger quarterback, feel like that's the future, maybe the answer is in free agency. Maybe it's someone else's draft bust that could pull us out of the darkness. And then we'll preview the upcoming matchup against the Carolina Panthers in Germany. So without further ado, let us get it started up in here. All right. So Giants lose to the Commanders 27-22. Washington swept the season series for the first time since 2021. That was Joe Judge's last season. I would think that John Mara has grown a tolerance for losing to the Cowboys and the Eagles over the past decade, but not the Commanders, not Washington. And going 0 for 4 in the division, losing all our division home games for the first time since 2020, which that doesn't sound right. I'm pretty sure we beat the Cowboys in 2020 at home. Did we not? I don't know. Anyway, you go winless in the division. I don't know what to tell you, dude. That's, we have been harping on and talking about John Mara's leash for Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. What are you willing to stomach? What are you willing to put up with? And apparently, he's willing to put up with this. He's willing to watch this. And he's willing to cross his fingers and pray and hope that this very young roster matures, learns from their mistakes, and wins these games that are close. Instead of finding ways to lose, you find ways to win. So, I talked at length last episode about how the odds and probability of that happening are, for a head coach after his second consecutive losing season and having a losing record after 3 seasons, going on and making the playoffs multiple times, more than once or 3 times, or even going to the Super Bowl, it's very low percentage. So, whatever Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are telling John Mara, he is eating it up. And he's showing an incredible amount of patience that, I don't know, maybe he should have let Shermer have a 3rd year, I guess. Should have let McAdoo have a 3rd year. Should have let Joe Judge have a 3rd year. Why not? Where the Giants aren't going anywhere, right? Our fans aren't going anywhere. I mean, yeah, I don't know, dude. Since getting off to that 7-2 start in 2022, Daboll's first year, the Giants are now 10-23-1. So I don't know, man. Apparently all of our success hinges on Andrew Thomas, our left tackle. So all of our success hinges on that. And even when he plays, we don't win. So we had more first downs than Washington. We had more rushing yards than Washington. It was our second highest total of the season. We had 164 rushing yards, whereas we had 175 at Seattle. We had more rushing yards than we did net passing yards. And we were about even with total yards. We did give up 2 sacks. Washington, we did not sack Washington. We did not sack Jaden Daniels once. 0 sacks, 0 turnovers, 0 fumbles forced, 0 interceptions. We did have the one fumble. It came on, I think it was the first drive, maybe. Drive where it looks like we were going to get some kind of points, most likely a field goal. Who knows though? With our third string kicker, Greg Joseph, somehow injured his abdomen. And so now we're down to a third kicker, Jude McCann. Rutgers product. So who knows if he would have hit a field goal there, but we're running the ball, running down their throats on that, not the opening drive. Maybe it was the opening drive. Just run, picking up huge chunks of yardage. 7 yards a carry, 8 yards a carry, 9, 10 yards a carry. I mean, just like big ass chunks of yardage. Running the ball, and then we decided to do a little play action. And of course, Dante Fowler comes in, knocks the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands, and referees think it's an incomplete pass, blow the play dead. No one had clearly recovered it when they blew the play dead. Eventually, Washington did recover it, but it was after the play was blown dead. And after further review, they rule it's a fumble, which it was, and they award the ball to Washington on our 30-yard line, not on Washington's 30-yard line where the fumble happened. Anyway, I guess you just have to accept that the referees are going to blow multiple calls per game that cost us the game. You just have to accept it. It's hard to win games as it is against the other team, and now we have to win against the refs as well. So that doesn't help things. And the league doesn't give a fuck. The referees don't care. So it's just how it goes. We don't get the calls, and the calls that we don't get turn out to be monumental, colossal, game-changing calls. It's never like, that cost us, I don't know. So many bad calls. We had a better third down conversion rate than Washington, 54% to their 41%. About even on fourth down conversions, we had more time of possession. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we perform better than the other team in every single statistical category, except the one that counts, points. It's like, you can win all those important metrics and still lose. We did post our highest point total this season at MetLife at home. 22 whole points. Wow, you guys. Whoa. Call the coroner. Call the presses and stop them. Stop the presses. Call your mother, call your father, and share the good news. 22 points are high for the season at home. Whoa. We attempted 2-point conversions after each one of our fourth quarter touchdowns and didn't convert either. We're 0 for 6 this season on 2-point tries. I guess that's been one of the big storylines and talking points for this game was the 2-point conversions. And I'm here to tell you, I agree with not going for 2 on both occasions. I don't give a fudge what the analytics say. The analytics don't take into account that we were 0 for 4 on 2-point conversions going into this game, and that when we get into a 2-point conversion situation, we call the stupidest plays just dumb plays that either we've never run before or I don't know what. They're just really bad play calls, poorly executed. So we only need 2 yards. Well, something happens when we go for 2 in our heads that makes us short circuit. So I would say, even if you do have a third string kicker from Rutgers, I say go for the extra point. Just kick the fucking extra point. And if we had kicked the 2 extra points and they were successful, you're looking at 27-24. I mean, we still lose the game probably, but it feels like a little more winnable. I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird to me. This offense has not shown the ability to score on 2-point conversions. And, it's a very weird, tricky thing psychology wise with Brian Dable, because it's like there are times where it's like he's trying to force confidence. He's like, by me saying we're going for 2, that's going to empower this offensive unit. It's going to embolden them. It's going to, light a fire under their ass. And that's going to be the turning point. That's where it's going to click for them. And it's just, no, dude, this offense does they don't have it. They don't have it. So just kick the extra point. Just kick the extra point. Instead, you botch both 2-point conversions, and then you're down 5. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. The defense, pretty bad yet again. Just explosive play after explosive play. Couldn't stop them when we needed them to. So, I don't know that the offense played okay. I guess they played okay. They're still, they're still the worst. They're the worst offense in the league. And statistically, that's accurate. I'm not that's not hyperbole, not me exaggerating. We are dead last in the league in points scored per game. So we have a bad offense. And when I say bad offense, it's like, it's weird. It's not like, I don't think there are bad players. I don't think the play calling is a little, I'm going to have issue with the play calling. It's just not consistent. It's not cohesive. It's not consistent. It's just, it's not all bad, but it's not good over a 60-minute period. So over 50 to 70 snaps. It's just so, I don't know. I don't think we're a bad team, but you're 2-7, and we've been 2-7 the past, I don't even know how many seasons. We have started 1-6, 1-7, 2-6, 2-7 outside of the 2 playoff years and maybe 1 or 2 other years. It's been the majority of seasons we've started 2-6, 2-7, 1-6, 1-7. But yeah, this one's different. This one's different. This one's different. It's different. We're right on the precipice. So yeah, I disagree with going for it, the 2-point conversions. But what leads you to believe that we were going to get those? Every time we tried, I was just like, no, this is not worth. Nope. I'd rather just kick the extra points. And if we miss the extra points, guess what? You can go for 2. You can go for 2. If you miss one, you go for 2 the next time. I don't know, dude. Daniel Jones, 20-26, 174, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His 76.9 completion percentage was the highest of the season, 6th highest of his career. Passer rating of 119.7 was easily the highest of the season, highest since he posted a 125.2 versus Indianapolis on New Year's Day 2023. My God, do you guys remember that game? Do you remember how crazy and wild and electric and how much positivity there was about Daniel Jones? Everyone was going nuts. They're cheering his name, chanting his name. We were clinching the playoff seed, and we felt good about the offense. And now he's putting up numbers that are, I guess, akin to that without Saquon Barkley. And it's I don't know. I don't think anyone feels positive about him. I mean, you could say he played a good game, and okay, he played a good game. But again, 174 yards on 20 completions. Meh. I don't know, dude. I mean, he was 4 of 6 for 0 yards and a touchdown at the end of the first half. I've never seen anything like that. And I've been watching a lot of football, dude. 109 QB rating in the first half. He had 0 yards, 109 QB rating. But because he threw a touchdown and only 2 incompletions, 109 QB rating. So I don't know. QB ratings, a little tough. Tough to take seriously when that's your stat line. And it just, that passing stat line truly embodies the Brian Daboll era and the Daniel Jones era in the Brian Daboll era. Like Daniel Jones' time, the Brian Daboll era is perfectly encapsulated by that stat line. 4 of 6, 0 yards and a touchdown. Daniel Jones was the first quarterback with a touchdown and 0 or fewer yards passing the first half of a game since Cam Newton on November 14th, 2021. But he only threw 3 passes in that entire game. And I don't think he started the game, or maybe he got hurt because PJ Walker had a lot of more attempts than him. So I don't know what was going on there. NFL research says Daniel Jones is the first quarterback since 1991 to have 0 or fewer pass yards and 1+ passing touchdowns with at least 5 attempts. The Giants had -8 passing yards as a team in the first half. I don't know how you listen to that, you look at that, you take that in and think he's the future. Both Daniel Jones is the future and Brian Daboll is the future. I don't know how you look at that stat and think to yourself, yep, vote of confidence. Daniel throws his first touchdown pass at MetLife since that game against the Colts on New Year's Day, 2023. And again, I'll bring up that stupid stat that everyone keeps tossing around where Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown pass at home in 634 days. It's like he only played 2 home games in 2023. Literally. He played against Dallas in the opener and he played against Seattle a couple weeks later. That was it. So 2 of 8 or 9 home games last season. And he's played, well, I guess we're like, what? We're 0-5 at home now? I think we're 0-5 at home. Yeah, he's so, oh boy. He did have 7 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. I think 5 of those carries and 50 some out of those yards came in the first half. He truck sticked a couple guys on that touchdown run, which people are like, if you can't get excited about that, then you don't better to bed. It's just like, no, I'm not excited about that. No, I'm not. You can't question his toughness. Yeah, I know. Literally no one is questioning Daniel Jones' toughness. We all are pretty much in agreement. He's a tough kid. He works hard. He's just not, he doesn't have the ability to win you games as a starting quarterback because he can't make the tough throws, and the completions that he does have aren't leading to yak. So like, yeah, on paper, you look at his stat line, you're like, no, he played pretty good. But it's like, I don't know. This was the second highest rushing total of the season behind his 56 yards against the Bengals on October 13th. We lost 17-7 on that. Now, I wanted to pause here real quick because I am done personally making excuses for Daniel Jones. But there are 2 things that I'm going to address in this episode that might lead someone to believe that I am making excuses for Daniel Jones and that we should give him another year. These are out there. They're factual. And I think if you are one of the few remaining DJ defenders, apologists, whatever, you can feel free to hold on to these in any debate or argument you have with other Giants fans who are so ready to turn the page. You have to acknowledge that it's been a year since Daniel Jones tore his ACL. He tore his ACL in the game against the Raiders early November. He underwent surgery to repair that torn ACL on Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. From my research and from having a torn ACL, it's a minimum of 9 months before you can resume activities. There are, like, of course, outliers, exceptions to the rule, where you might have someone who's just elite, genetically enhanced, advanced person who can come back in 6 months, but they usually recommend a minimum of 9 months before he can resume the activities. So that would have placed him in sport activity, I should say. That would place him at Thursday, August 22nd, 2024 is a minimum of 9 months from his surgery date. So we're talking about we're in the preseason. I think, I don't know, it was the Jets-Giants game. Did he play in that game? I don't think he did. I think it was Jets-Giants preseason game, and I don't think he played in that. I think Drew Lock played in it and did not look good. So he obviously played, I think it was the next week against the Texans and looked like garbage. So again, 9 months after tearing his ACL. A full year after the surgery would be the Thanksgiving game against Dallas. Basically. It'd be the Friday before our game against the Bucks. Excuse me, sorry. Most sources indicate a minimum of 9 months or full recovery. Some exceptional athletes may recover in as little as 6 months, which by all accounts, it sounded like Daniel was rehabbing like a crazy person and was looking good after 6 months. Many patients take 9 to 10 months to ensure total recovery. Some individuals may need up to 12 months before returning to their sport. Keep in mind, he returned and is starting and is playing 9 to 10 months after he got the surgery. On average, patients can resume sports and other high-intensity activities between 6 to 12 months after surgery, with 8 to 9 months being more realistic for most people. Some patients report that it can take up to 2 years before they feel completely back to their pre-injury level of performance. So, what am I getting at here? No one really talks about it. And I know people are over him, myself pretty much included. But it's something to think about. That would you be surprised if Daniel turns a corner? Hear me out here, okay? Now I don't believe this will happen, but would it be in line with that schedule for him to play his best ball against the Bucks, follow that up with some more best ball against the Cowboys in Dallas, a Dallas team that is, I don't want to say in shambles, but Jesus, Jerry Jones said things are bleak. And Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat. So, they just lost the Falcons. They're not looking great. They're 3-5 now, I want to say. So, Bucks are beat up. They're currently beating the Chiefs 7-3, but they've lost Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. So, who knows? But would you be surprised if Daniel comes out and puts on a show against Carolina? We start to see things that we haven't seen in a long time. And then he's got the bye week to prepare for Tampa. And so he could come out at home and really change the narrative and be like, okay, our quarterback is playing some top-notch ball. And then you have Dallas. So I think if you ever were, and I'm not making a case for this, but if you're going to make a case for Daniel Jones in 2025, and, maybe we start to think about taking this torn ACL into consideration, maybe. I mean, I know that when I'm not I'm not an athlete. I know that. You know that. When I tore my ACL, I didn't go through the rigorous rehab that Daniel Jones did, but I would say a year to 2 years before I felt completely comfortable jogging on a treadmill without feeling like it was going to go out on me again. There's a little bit of a psychological, mental side to it as well. And you can look at Saquon. Saquon tears his ACL early in the 2020 season, week 2 against the Bears. So then he comes back for 2021. He's not exactly the same Saquon that we saw in 2019 and 2018. He also has another injury in there. But 2022, so then 2 years after the ACL, he puts up probably his second best season as a Giant. He's able to run the ball 35 times for 100 and some odd yards against the Texans. He was a workhorse for the most part in 2022. And was a major reason why we made the playoffs along with Daniel. So And now you can see, and I bring up Saquon because now look, he's now 4 years removed from the ACL. Everyone said he was washed. He's cooked. He has no pull away speed. Look at the shit that he's doing with the Eagles, dude. He still has pull away speed. He's shown it time after time, game after game this season. And then he pulls a move that literally no one has ever seen on an NFL field or any football field, I think, where he jukes a guy, spin move, backwards hurdle over defender, backwards hurdle. It's tough. Injuries, man. You know, I mean, we're dealing, and now we're dealing with, you know, trying to speculate about Azeez Ojulari's future. Dude's only 24 years old, has had a history of injuries, but when he is healthy, produces. And now we might trade him for like a 6th round pick. And he'll go to some other team, help them win in the playoffs, either re-sign with that team or get a big contract in the offseason, and he'll go on to, I don't know. I get it. It's tough. You know, no one has a crystal ball. I get it. But there's a second part to my case for Daniel Jones. Now, again, I'm not saying he's the answer. I think we're all ready to move on from him. We're all ready to say, okay, enough is enough. We've given him enough we've shown enough patience. But that's why I mentioned the case for quarterback patience in the intro, because I do think all signs are pointing to him doing something, being better and playing better. This is his age 27 season, which is a very important season. And there are numbers to back it up, which we'll get to. But people forget, tore his ACL. And even though he was able to rehab, make it back for the starter, for the opener, it still takes, you know, it's not just physical, it's the mental, psychological safety and confidence in your rehabbed knee and ligament and your surgically repaired knee. So, you know, I'm just saying, keep that date in your head, that Buccaneers game. Panthers game, I don't think it you know, it would be nice for him to have an explode, like just explode and put up some big numbers, which I would love to see him do. But I do think the Buccaneers and Cowboys games, you could see a very different Daniel Jones. Not very different, but like a much improved Daniel Jones. And not just like stats are good on paper, you know, 100 QB rating, but like not making any plays. I think you could see something along the lines of like, oh, he's making plays now. We're seeing like some of the plays that he would make his rookie season. Anywho, we ran the ball 20 times on our first 23 plays for 140 yards. So if you're wondering, well, like, whoa, what's up with that 4 of 6 stat line? Well, when you can run the ball like that, why throw the ball? I know Malik Neighbors begs to differ, disagrees. Tyron Tracy, 16 carries, 66 yards. I think pretty much 80 to 90% of those numbers came in the first quarter alone. Devin Singletary rushed 7 times for 33 yards, so they both averaged more than 4 yards a carry. And Darius Slayton gets a carry for 11 yards. That play is frustrating to me. Those kind of plays are frustrating because I see that kind of play. I see the kind of plays that were called against the Packers in London in 2022. I see the kind of creativity that happens from time to time. And I think, why can't we do that all the time? Why doesn't that happen all the time? That was such an inventive, fun play to watch because it's just no one's expecting that. Inside handoff to Darius Slayton where there's like a trap and like it's off tackle. It's just like, what? It's not your traditional, we're going to motion him or we're going to jet sweep and they're going to stop it for negative yardage. Like it was misdirection, unexpected, and I freaking loved it. Why can't we have that more often? It's, Dable takes over play calling, and it just I want that more, please. Malik Neighbors, 11 targets, 9 catches, 59 yards. Not exactly a great stat line. The 9 receptions is a season high for him. They all came in the second half. He increased his season total to 55 catches. He's the second player in NFL history with at least 50 receptions in the first 7 career games. The other is, you guessed it, you know it, you love it. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua, who had 58 in 7 games last year. So we're every time, that's just know that it's like a Puka versus Malik race for who can have the most catches their rookie season. Theo Johnson, 3 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets. Don't like that catch percentage, but my God, we're wearing the throwbacks. Daniel throws the seam to Theo Johnson for a touchdown. It's literally Sims to Bavaro in the legendary throwbacks. Well, why can't we do that all the time? It's just where is all this? Why isn't it happening all the time? Why can't we do that more often? This is Theo's first career touchdown. So congratulations to Theo Johnson. Darius Slayton, 3 catches, 49 yards on 3 targets. Wandale, I think Slayton might have been, he went through concussion protocol. I don't know if he cleared it. Wandale, 3 catches, 10 yards. I am officially begging, pleading, demanding, requesting that Wandale Robinson no longer play for the New York Giants. I think that is and here's why. And it's not really his fault. It's Brian Dable's fault, and it's Joe Shane's fault. Joe Shane's fault for drafting him, Brian Dable's fault for whatever the hell he's dialing up for Wandale Robinson. Just stop. Stop. Whatever you're dialing up for Wandale Robinson, stop. You can't tell me that is we're 2-7. Just try something different. Just bench him, sit him, and play Jalen Hyatt, and have Jalen Hyatt run a vertical after vertical after vertical. Literally, that's where we're at in this season. I don't know. There's no stay the course. There's no trust the process. I don't understand why and how we're using Wandale Robinson. We are not using him the right way. It doesn't appear like we're learning our lesson. 3 catches, 10 yards, dude. We haven't figured it out. I don't think we're going to figure it out. He's had 1, maybe 2 good games in it's now 3 years that we've had him, almost 2.5 years. We can't figure it out, and we're not going to figure it out. So Godspeed. We got to move on. We have got to move on. I'd rather watch Jalen Hyatt butcher routes down the field than to see this shit. I don't get it. I do not get it. I'm so sick of seeing that stat line. The fact that Neighbors had 9 catches for 59 yards. I mean, what are we doing? I just don't agree. I just don't agree with this kind of play calling. It's not where I would rather see us. I honestly would rather see us get blown out and sacked 8 times, but we're chucking the ball down the field than to see this short game, pass game. I hate it. I hate it. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's 6 yards a catch. Ooh. 9 catches, 59 yards. I don't know, dude. I just don't. I'd prefer no, thank you. I'm over it. Chris Manhertz caught his first touchdown of the season, and it was his only reception of the season. The Giants' first half touchdown at MetLife this season, and their first since our win in Seattle a month ago. Manhertz also scored their first touchdown by a Giants tight end this season. Sad. First Giants tight ends to catch a touchdown pass since Lawrence Cager on November 12th, 2023 in a blowout loss to Dallas. And it's the first game in which two Giants tight ends caught touchdown passes since November 1st, 2021 at Kansas City. Players are Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram. Oh boy, Kyle Rudolph. Remember that guy? Woof. Dante Fowler Jr. was fouling up our offense. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Jeremy Chin had 2 tackles for loss. He also led the Commanders in total tackles. Giants defense didn't record a sack. As we mentioned, first game without a sack since November 12th, 2023 at Dallas, blowout loss. I was driving home from Rhode Island. I had just spent the weekend with my buddy and his family in Rhode Island, and it was a lovely weekend. I was doing it to celebrate my birthday. And over the course of that weekend, exchanged so many texts with my then soon-to-be girlfriend, who's giving me girlfriend vibes. Texting me all the cutesy, lovey-dovey shit. And then came over for a lunch date, acted weird and awkward, called her out on it, drove down to my mom and sister's place in South Carolina, had a long conversation with her on the car ride down, phone call, and she was like, yeah, I just need to be more mindful about what I text. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm sure this won't end tragically. Ugh. I don't know if I'm going to post this video. I have all kinds of shit in my teeth. Gross. We did not record an interception. We have not intercepted a pass in 8 consecutive games, extending a franchise record. We have so many cool records under Brian Dable. It's really cool. It's really cool. Did not record a fumble. We did not record a turnover. We last had the last game that we did not have a sack or a takeaway was the game that Daniel Jones tore his ACL. November 5th, 2023 in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Micah McFadden led the team in total tackles. Bobby Okereke was next. Bobby O had a nice tackle for loss. Cordell Flott had a tackle for loss. Azeez Ojulari had a tackle for loss. Dexter Lawrence had, I guess you could say, 6 combined tackles. Most of them were assists. And my God, I'm so done with Deonte Banks, dude. I just don't think he wants to play for the Giants. I think he went to Maryland and would love to play for the Commanders. And I think that's why he took so many shots. I mean, he was like, that infamous video. I don't know if it was Instagram or whatever, where he's like chirping the Commanders for not picking him. So I think he really wanted the Commanders to pick him. And now he's seen the Commanders off to 6-2, 7-2 start, and he wants to play for them. The Giants, I don't think there's any way the Giants would trade Deonte Banks to the Commanders. But I don't know. Crazier things have happened. I don't even think Malik Neighbors wants to play for the Giants. It's just like, how many post-game scrums and media huddles have we seen him make comments about, I'm open, watch the tape, I'm open, I don't call the plays, and this is kind of what we talked about and discussed when we drafted him. And leading up to the draft, the preview that I did, and then the reaction afterwards was like, I'm 99.9% sure that he's not going to get beyond his rookie contract. Like, we're not signing him to a second contract. I can feel that in my bones. And at this point, I don't even know if he's going to make it through his rookie contract. I don't think he was excited about getting drafted by the Giants. I think he would rather play for another team. And it's the Commanders. He wants to play for the Commanders. It's so funny. Like, he wants to play with Jaden Daniels. He fucking loves that guy from his days at LSU. So it's like, we have 2 top draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks the past 2 years who don't want to be on the team. And if they do want to be on the team, their perception from fans and from the outside, and I know, it could be totally different inside the clubhouse, inside the locker room, but from the fans' perspective, it doesn't seem like they want to play, judging by what they say and how they perform in the field, like they want to be Giants. I don't know. I just, oh boy. we had gone over the Joe Shane's drafts, and like the 2023 draft is rivaling the 2021 draft in terms of how shitty it is and has turned out. And that 2022 draft, I don't know that you're really getting a lot of productivity from that. Still blows my mind that Evan Neal can't. We signed a guy off the practice squad who had never played left tackle before, rather than play Evan Neal at right tackle. Like that's crazy to me. And then John Feliciano was on Twitter. I guess I thought Feliciano's with the Niners, I think, but then he talks about how Bobby Johnson is now the O-line coach with the Commanders, and of course the Commanders allowed 0 sacks, and so he took a swipe at Giants Twitter for us being critical of Bobby Johnson, the O-line coach from last year, saying how is it now? And it's like, I mean, John, I don't know what to tell you, dude, but we gave up the second most sacks in a single season in NFL history, dude. And yeah, I guess you could say that's mostly due to injuries, but I don't think a good O-line coach would allow that to happen. Call me crazy. So things are good. Things are good. Brian Burns, I feel like he's pretty dinged up and banged up. You can see him limping around. So he was, for the most part, didn't have much impact on the game. He might have had a batted ball. Tyler Nubin was out of place on a couple plays and a few plays. But yeah, Deonte Banks, like, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. He had a decent rookie season, and then he's completely regressed. He's had 1-ish good games. 11 seconds left in the first half. Commanders have no timeouts. He gets juked on a double move for the touchdown to McLaurin. He allows a play that's like nearly identical to the score that they allowed against the Vikings in week 1. Just a simple little en route slant type thing. Doesn't get around on the ball, doesn't move on the ball. And they said that Drew Phillips said that he was supposed to switch with Banks on that and blew the coverage. So this is what happens with the young roster. Again, I feel like that has to be the argument for Dable and Shane. Well, look how young we are. We're so young. That's why we're making so many mistakes. You give them another year or two and, I don't know. So, you don't. Elijah Chapman isn't the answer. Undrafted free agent defensive lineman. Nacho isn't the answer. DJ Davidson, another draft pick, is not your answer on the interior line. Jordan Riley, who had a pretty, decent preseason, inactive. And so now you have to go out and sign Armon Watts. It's, I don't know. Jaden Daniels, 15-22, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. See, that's the difference. I know it's not a huge difference, but 15-22, 209 yards, 15 completions, 209 yards, 20 completions, 170 yards. Doing more with less. Daniels is the first rookie starting quarterback to beat the Giants twice since the NFL began tracking quarterback starts in 1950. Commanders were without Brian Robinson Jr., their leading rusher, so they elevated Chris Rodriguez Jr. They love their juniors down in Washington. From the practice squad, and he had 11 carries, 52 yards, almost 5 yards a carry. Austin Eckler, 11 carries, 42 yards, almost 4 yards a carry. Daniels rushed for 35 yards on 8 carries. Noah Brown, 5 catches, 60 yards. Zacchaeus had that big catch when we were looking for a stop in the fourth quarter with like under 2 minutes to play. Would have been nice to get a stop there, get the ball back, and had we kicked the extra points, could have tied the game with a field goal and gone overtime. But people think that's not going to happen. People don't think that we would have kicked a field goal to tie the game and go in overtime, but we would have, if we got the ball back, scored a touchdown to win. I don't know. I guess. Terry McLaurin, only 2 catches for 19 yards, and they were both touchdowns. We only had 3 targets. So wild. Oh, boy. So that's the Giants and the Commanders recap. I mentioned this in the intro. I mentioned it when we talk about Daniel Jones during the Commanders recap. The case for quarterback patience. So Anthony Richardson benched by the Colts in favor of Joe Flacco, who did not look great against Minnesota on Sunday night. Bryce Young benched for Andy Dalton, and now he's starting again. I think he's going to start against the Giants in Germany. Alex Smith, who was 20 years old, he was drafted by the Niners, went from the face of the word bust in San Francisco to a legitimate MVP candidate coached by Andy Reid in Kansas City. Kurt Warner was 28, quarterback in the Amsterdam Admirables. Ooh, the Abominables? No. The Amsterdam Admirals. And was yet to become Super Bowl MVP. Rich Gannon was 34 when he made his first Pro Bowl after joining John Gruden in Oakland. Steve Young won just 3 of his first 19 games, throwing 21 picks and 11 touchdowns, I believe, with Tampa Bay. After his brutal sophomore season, it took him 5 years to become a Week 1 starter again, and the rest was history. This is a quote from Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach. Organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. And organizational alignment, a clear development plan, and quality teammates are among the must-haves for quarterback success. And NFL starting quarterbacks haven't been this young in 60 years. They're even younger this year. So that to me is kind of a case, like that says to me that I don't know that we should draft a quarterback. But then, I was hoping I would look at the free agent class and see a guy that's going to be 27 or even 28 and be like, and who is a former top draft pick and snatch him up. And that's not really the case. I looked at the free agent class of 2025, at the quarterback position, Sam Darnold. But here's the thing. Maybe you could get your hopes up for Sam Darnold because from what I heard on the broadcast on Sunday night, Collinsworth is talking about how the team is dead set on J.J. McCarthy being the starting quarterback. And he said, barring Sam Darnold going to the Super Bowl and winning, he thinks that even if Sam Darnold takes him to the playoffs, wins in the playoffs, could possibly go to the Super Bowl and lose, and they would not keep him on as the starting quarterback, which is just nuts. So it seems like the team is still dedicated to J.J. McCarthy, a guy who has not played a single fucking down in the NFL. They'd rather have him than Sam Darnold, who has shown that he's able to go up against some really top-notch defenses and win. They're now 6-2. But yeah, sure. Go with J.J. McCarthy. So if the Vikings are that dumb, Sam Darnold takes them to the playoffs, wins in the playoffs, but doesn't win the Super Bowl, and they want to move on from him, not offer him anything. Giants need to be first in line to make an offer. I can't believe I just said that because knowing what Sam Darnold has been through, I mean, Sam Darnold was 20. I believe he was 20 when he was drafted, or he at least played his last season at USC as a 20-year-old. And maybe he turned 21 before the draft, but he's a fucking young guy. Same with Bryce Young. So, your other options, not great. Zach Wilson from the Broncos, Trey Lance with the Cowboys. I mean, Zach Wilson's only 25. Trey Lance is only 24, which is nuts. Drew Lock is going to be 28. Justin Fields is not even 26. He's going to be a free agent. So Mac Jones is 26. So do you take another look at Mac Jones? Do you take another look at Justin Fields? Do you take another look at Trey Lance or Zach Wilson or Sam Darnold? Obviously, Sam Darnold is the front runner there. But I say all this because there's a graphic here. Quarterback progression, comparing average passer rating before and after age 27 when starting 8 or more games. The average for Sam Darnold prior to age 27, his QB rating was 75.4. post 27, so 27 or after, his average QB rating is 107.2. Baker Mayfield. My God. Why did everyone give up on Baker Mayfield? I'll never know. 87.9 QB rating before 27, 99.75 after age 27. Geno Smith, 72 QB rating before 27, 93.8 after 27. 27 or after. Daniel Jones, you're not going to want to hear this, 27 years old. Drew Lock, 27 years old. Tommy DeVito, about to be 27. So here's the rub. Here's the conundrum. We are so ready to move on from Daniel Jones after the first half of the season, right? He's just not winning you games. Even when he puts up good numbers, he's putting up QB ratings over 100, still not winning you games. It feels like this is what's going to happen. We're going to cut him. He's going to get signed by someone who's going to do exactly what Kevin O'Connell suggested, or whoever this quote is from. They're going to align with him organizationally. They're going to have a clear development plan, and they're going to surround him with quality teammates, and he'll succeed. Now, will he go on to win a Super Bowl? Probably not, but he's going to play better than he did in his first 6 years with the Giants. So Dan Duggan said this about Daniel Jones, quote, with the Giants upgrading their offensive line and receiving weapons, head coach Brian Daboll tried taking the training wheels off the offense this season, but Jones has proven that he's not capable of being the trigger man for a prolific downfield attack. He cited Troy Aikman's commentary from the Monday night game, which I didn't watch that broadcast. I watched the Manningcast instead. But Troy Aikman said, this is Daniel Jones likes to see things before he turns it loose. If he recognizes the too deep coverage right away, bang, you throw it in there, line drive it right on him and force Darius Slayton to kind of have to slow down a little bit. But instead, Daniel Jones is in the pocket. He wants to see it before he turns it loose. That oftentimes is the difference in a completion and incompletion. So he has a lack of anticipation, throwing the ball before it's open. Throw to the open as opposed to, Don't throw when he's open, throw it right before he's open. So, that's what's been killer for him. A key to the 2022 success for the Giants was red zone efficiency. We scored touchdowns on 63.3% of red zone trips, 7th best rate in the league. Red zone is now where the Giants' scoring dreams go to die. After going 0 for 3 against the Steelers, Giants have scored touchdowns on a league worst 36.4% of red zone trips this season. And we were 31st last year at 44.2%. So why did we have the success in 2022 with Daniel? We didn't really have Daniel for most of the season last year. And we were next to last. And now we're again so bad in the red zone again this year. Play calling? Is it the play calling? I believe Kafka was the play caller in 2022. I don't know. How much longer is Jones the QB1? Daboll would need to believe that Drew Lock gives New York a better chance to win. So far, that's not been the case. Beyond this year, it's hard to see Jones as the Giants' quarterback of the future. The front office and coaching staff spent extensive time scouting the quarterbacks in this year's draft and hosted Russell Wilson, a 2025 free agent, for a free agent visit in March. So as well as Russell has performed since being named the starter over the past 2-3 weeks, I don't think that's the answer. But if we're talking about quarterback progression, we're talking about quarterback patience. Maybe it really is you sign Russell as free agent. You do what Pittsburgh did to a certain degree. You sign Russell as a free agent, and then you bring in the young quarterback, either by draft or free agency. If it's draft, okay, you are going to sit behind Russell and watch and learn and absorb everything. So this would be the other part of I'm not making the case, but I'm making it for someone else that wants to make the case. Like, for anyone who still believes Daniel Jones and needs that little glimmer sliver of hope, it's coming back from the ACL. The ACL is getting stronger. His confidence and security psychologically in the surgically repaired ACL is getting better and improving each week. And you can see that with Saquon is a good example of how, you come back and you get better, in year 2 and even year 3. So that's one reason why you you could stick with Daniel Jones. And the other one is, well, he's 27. And usually that's when these young quarterbacks, it starts to click and they take that next step. So, and that's we're 2-7 and we'll get to the upcoming schedule. But like I said, if he's able to beat the Panthers, beat the Buccaneers, beat the Cowboys and go on a 3-game run, everyone's going to say, oh, here come the Giants again. It's like that happens every year, right? We go 2-7, 2-6, 1-7, 1-6, and then we go on like a 3-game winning streak and everyone thinks, oh, we have hope. I refuse to buy into that shit. I can't do it this year. I can't do it. Now, Cheapers Creepers. You look at I don't want to skip the Panthers preview and just go straight to the upcoming schedule, but it does tie into Daniel Jones' fate, right? Because I think everyone's written him off, myself included. But you come out, you beat the Panthers. You look good. You beat the Panthers. If you don't beat the Panthers and you look bad, okay. The funeral services will be held the following day on Monday. But you come out, beat the Panthers, and you look good, and you beat them handedly. Not this last second bullshit. Multiple scores, you beat the Panthers, and he looks good. Throws touchdowns, good. Comes out against the Buccaneers, which I thought I think a lot of people were leaving the Buccaneers for dead after all the injuries, but it's like, I guess they're holding their own. But you come out and beat the Buccaneers at home, throw a couple touchdowns. You go to Dallas and beat Dallas, throw a couple touchdowns. The Saints just fired Dennis Allen for losing to the Panthers, so they're in a tailspin, and you beat the Saints. You're looking at 3-7, 4-7, 5-7, 6-7 with 4 games left to play. Now, I don't know how I'm going to resist taking the bait on that one. I don't know how I would be able to resist the bait and be all in the hype machine being at an all-time level if that happens. That's exactly, I think, what needs to happen for me to go from like 0.00001% hope to we're going to the playoffs. Problem is we have to face the Ravens, Falcons, Colts, and Eagles. Colts, who knows? That team is like, I don't know. They went toe to toe with the Vikings. They did better against the Vikings than we did. So I don't think the Colts, that's an easy W. So that last stretch, unless the Eagles clinch early and rest all their starters, you're looking at that 3 or 4 game stretch is going to be tough. But again, if it's really all about him getting to a level where he feels 100% with his surgically repaired ACL, and knowing that age 27 is that turning point for a lot of young quarterbacks that were drafted high, I'm just saying, maybe it clicks. So that's all I'll say about that. So let's preview the upcoming Week 10 matchup versus the Carolina Panthers. Sunday, November 10th, 2024, day after my birthday. 9:30 a.m. start. Giants are favored by 5, which is, I don't believe mine eyes. I don't believe it. Over-under is 42. Panthers are also 2-7. And whereas we are a 2-7 team that could possibly be 4-5, I don't think that we can say the same for the Panthers. They were blown out week 1 by the Saints, ironically, 47-10, blown out by the Chargers in week 2. They somehow beat the Raiders in week 3. Lose by 10 to the Bengals, lose by 20 some odd points to the Bears, lose by 18 points to the Falcons, lose by 33 points to the Commanders, lose by 14 points to the Broncos, and then they beat the Saints by 1. So I really do think if you are a tankathon fan, which I hate tanking, I don't think I've ever rooted for tanking in my entire life. I can't will myself to do it. I refuse to do it. So no, I am not one of those tanking. Like, I don't look at Tankathon. I don't look at that shit. I literally, you want to know how psychotic I am and delusional about the New York Football Giants? Every year that we have started 1-6, 1-7, 2-6, 2-7, and got off to a shitty start, I am still looking at playoffstatus.com. I am still looking at that shit. And I look at it until we are officially eliminated. And if that makes me a madman, so be it. I understand and I accept. I'm practicing radical acceptance. I practice radical acceptance. I accept that I'm a madman. But that's who I am. I cannot root for a tank. I legitimately loathe people that root for tanks, that get upset when we beat the friggin' Washington in 2019, where we could have got Chase Young. Instead, we got Andrew Thomas. How did that work out? So it's like, I just win, baby. Big Al Davis guy. Just win. I prefer winning. I want to know that we got something going, that there's something to root for and pull for. There's potential. There's hope. I'm not a big fan of that's why I really did think, as horrific as 2023 was as a season, there were still little signs and signals here and there that it's like, oh man, we're we're facing some really awful odds, but we almost beat Buffalo. We should have beaten the Jets. We should have beat them. We should have beat the Rams. We should have beat the Eagles. We should have beat there were so many games where we could have, should have, would have. And I thought, okay, we'll just get those fixed up real quick. We'll get more of the guys that Shane and Dable want in the draft and in free agency. If we address these issues, then we can go into this season and things will be so different. And no, we're still losing the close games. So I would hope and I would think that we'd beat the friggin' Panthers, dude. And I honestly do think that Dennis Allen got fired. Okay? You lose the Panthers. I don't know. Unless Dable and Shane went to Maryland and said, listen, okay, on the down low, the DL, don't tell Giants fans this. We're tanking. And if they get pissed off, just give them a medium Pepsi. You know the drill. Panthers lead the all-time series 7-6. Last time we met was 2 years ago. We won 19-16. This was, I think it was it was a September game, mid-September game. It's a field goal fest in the first half, tied up 6-6. Carolina had 2 turnovers. They were 2 for 12 on third down. We had 0 turnovers. Then Carolina Panther Brian Burns had 2 sacks and 4 quarterback hits. Julian Love had 8 tackles, a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. And we let him walk. Because that's what we do. We let star safeties walk. And it doesn't come back to haunt us. Nope, not one bit. October 24, 2021, we win 25-3 on 3 Graham Gano field goals. We sacked Sam Darnold 3 times, PJ Walker 3 times. Carolina was 2 for 15 on third down, only 173 total yards. Dante Pettis caught a touchdown. What? I think he also had a completion in that game. Crazy. Devontae Booker, subbing in for Saquon, ran for a touchdown. And then Carolina Panther Brian Burns had a sack and 2 quarterback hits. And James Bradbury, in his final season with the Los Gigantes, got a pick. Azeez Ojulari, 2.5, rookie Azeez Ojulari, 2.5 sacks, 4 QB hits. Before that, October 7, 2018, this game was crazy. We were down 17-3 halfway through the second quarter. OBJ throws a touchdown to Saquon, and I thought, we are going to the Super Bowl. I was like, if that shit can happen, I think we just unlocked this offense. Because I remember saying to myself, when we lost to the Saints at home, I was just like, this is one of the worst offenses. I don't know how. Well, I do know how. Our offensive line was lowest of low. Sewage. Dung. Straight up elephant dung. So that was the reason, because I don't know how you have a team with Odell Beckham Jr. and Evan Engram and Saquon Barkley and not score points. But we had an offensive explosion this game. OBJ throws a touchdown to Saquon. Aldrick Rosas hits 3 field goals. OBJ also catches a touchdown from Eli. Beckham had 131 yards on 8 catches. Saquon caught a touchdown from Eli with a little over 1 minute left in the game to take a 1-point lead. And you figure that's a wrap, folks. Giants get the victory. Things are looking up. Offense is full steam ahead. We're firing on all cylinders. And then Graham Gano, Carolina Panther, Graham Gano, buries a 63-yard game-winning field goal with 1 second left on the clock. And I'm pretty sure the broadcast ended, but the game did not end because there was a kickoff after that, and the Giants almost took it to the house, but they didn't show it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then before that was the infamous OBJ Josh Norman heavyweight battle. I guess they're not heavyweights. Flyweight, lightweight, middleweight, where they were just literally just fighting each other. It was a brawl on the field every play. Panthers win that 38-35. There was 886 total yards of offense. Cam Newton threw 5 touchdowns for 340 yards. He also had 100 yards rushing. Eli threw 4 touchdowns. And Graham Gano, Carolina Panther Graham Gano, hit the game-winning field goal, 43-yard field goal as time expired. Graham Gano, killing us then, killing us now. And then before that was the September 2013 game where the Panthers blanked us 38-0. We had 10 first downs. Giants quarterbacks were sacked 7 times. We had 150 total yards on offense. We're 3 of 12 on third down and 23 minutes of possession. That 23, the start of that, the first half of that 23 to 2013 season was an eye opener. And little did I know, it's like, that's just, yeah. Hey, buckle up, bucko. You're going to see a lot of this shit for the next 10 goddamn seasons. Whoa. So the Giants will play the 4th regular season game in Europe, first in Germany at Allianz Arena in Munich. It'll be their 2nd international game in 3 seasons. I mentioned the Packers game in London in 2022. We're looking to improve our record to 3-0. Or we are 3-0 in London. So we're looking to go 4-0 in Europa. If you're wondering, I kind of wondered. Carolina is the home team, not that it makes a difference, but as I mentioned, we're dead last in points scored per game. Carolina not much better. They're 29th. We are 15th in points allowed per game. So the defense not allowing a ton of points. Panthers are dead freaking last in points allowed per game. 32.6 points allowed per game. For the love of God, if we can't put up 30 points on this friggin' Panthers defense, I don't think you can. Just give up. Just seriously give up. I think if Dable is unable to score 30 points on this defense, he should have to give up play calling duties. Just give it back to Kafka. I don't think Kafka could do any worse. We're 25th in takeaway differential. Panthers are 27th. We're 23rd in passing yards per game. Panthers are 30th. Rushing yards per game, we're 19th. Panthers are 25th. We are 9th in defensive passing yards allowed per game, which is kind of mind-boggling. Because that was like the primary concern heading into the season was just like our secondary is just woof. And no, it turns out our defensive rushing yards allowed per game is the real problem. Panthers are 25th in passing yards allowed per game, and they're dead last in rushing yards allowed per game. And we're 20th and 28th in rushing yards per game. Chuba Hubbard, starting running back for the Carolina Panthers, has the 5th most rushing yards in the NFL. He's tied for 10th for the most rushing yards per attempt, and he's 10th in touches. So you're going to see a whole lot of Chuba Hubbard, I would think, if you're a Panthers fan or you're wondering what the Panthers will do in offense. It's probably going to revolve around handing the ball to Chuba Hubbard. Raheem Blackshear, backup running back. He's also the kick return specialist. He has the most kick returns in the NFL and most kick return yards. 6th in yards per kick return, 8th in yards per punt return. So something to keep an eye on, something to think about. Our special teams has not been that special this year, other than that one game against Seattle. So I wouldn't be shocked if Raheem takes one to the house, or at least takes one back, gets some big yardage on returns. Panthers kicker Eddie Pinheiro is tied for 10th in field goal percentage at 91%. J.C. Horn, Panthers corner, is the 6th most passes defended. Now, what's interesting here is at the trade deadline. I'm recording this at around it's almost 10 o'clock Eastern on Monday, November 4th. So trade deadline is tomorrow, Tuesday, November 5th. 4 p.m. is the deadline. So it's very possible that the best players from the Panthers will be traded. So, we might not even see J.C. Horn or a Chubby Hubbard. Chubby Hubbard. That's very possible. I know they already traded Deontay Johnson, right? I think. So they're probably going to make a bunch of moves and be sellers. We should be sellers. Not that there's a whole lot to sell besides Darius Slayton and Aziz Ojulari. And I think I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I don't think we should trade them. They're not. It's not like I don't know. I like Slayton. I like Aziz. Slayton has drops. Aziz has injuries. We all have our faults. We all have our flaws. But I would like to see them return because I think they are good talents, and I hate seeing good talents leave, especially when it's not. I don't think they're going to break the bank. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Did Joe Shane really think that he was going to re-sign Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney? And did he really not trade them because he thought we had a shot, even though I think we were 2-7 last year at the trade deadline? He really did think that we were going to re-sign Saquon Barkley, even after all the frustrating failed negotiations he had in 2022, the bye week, and even after franchise tagging Saquon and having those discussions the previous year. He thought that Saquon was going to go out and test the market, and he was going to match it and sign Saquon. He really did think that. And it's like, I don't think Saquon had any intention of re-signing with the Giants. That's just not knowing your players, or at least you're just not having honest, transparent conversations with the agent. I don't know, man. But he really butchered that. And then, I guess it would make sense that he thought he could re-sign Xavier, because when he sees what Xavier signed for, he's like, holy shit. Like, he was not going to offer that. So, but I guess that's the part of being a young GM. I don't know. You got to have a better sense of what's going on, market value. But I mean, I don't know. To not trade either of those guys in what was a lost season is just, I don't know. You don't want the clubhouse, the team, to think the season is over. So when would you? It's like you traded Leonard Williams, but you gave him, you went to him and said, hey, we would like to trade you. Where would you like to go? Couldn't you have said that to Saquon and Xavier? Been like, hey, real talk. Do you want to be back here next year? And just be honest with me. Just cut the bullshit. And if they say no, be like, okay, where would you like to go? Philadelphia? That's a no. You can go anywhere outside the division. Anywhere. So did he not? So he had the conversation with Leonard, but he didn't have the conversation with Saquon or Xavier. I mean, just drives me nuts. Last year was the year to trade, because you had big guys with big contracts coming up, hitting free agency, and you could have got something good for them. You're not going to get anything good for Darius Slayton or Aziz Ojulari. Fucking A. So yeah, that's the preview of the Panthers game. I mean, if we don't win by multiple scores, I mean, if we win by like 3 points, ugh, but I'm telling you, I mean, I am I've almost got 2 feet out the door with this team. You know, I really don't think we have any chance of making any kind of run. I really do think that Dable has lost the locker room, which isn't that like a major blow against his future with the team? Has to be. No? But that said, this is the time to go on a run. This is the time. Panthers, Bucks, Cowboys, Saints. Bucks are a good team. Might not make the playoffs. I have them on the iPad against the Chiefs, but I have not been. I mean, they're winning right now in the third quarter, halfway through the third quarter, 14-10 over the friggin' Chiefs, who are undefeated 7-0. But then again, I don't know. The Chiefs sometimes just have a letdown game. It's inevitable. Can't win them all, right? Looking at you, 72 Dolphins and 2007 Patriots in your face. So yeah, maybe the Bucks game isn't so winnable after that. But go out, take it to the Panthers. You get a bye week. Everyone gets rested up. You game plan for the Bucks. Short week with the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. And then you take it to the Saints. And if you can go, 3-7, 4-7, 5-6. If you're 6-7 halfway through December, I mean, you're probably, I don't think you're in the hunt. Probably not in the hunt. But yeah, I'm going to get my hopes up for sure. 6-7, December 15th, after starting 2-7, I'm getting my hopes all the way up. All right. That's the episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And let's go Big Blue.